One, two, one, two. Yeah. You got the level straight?
Hey everybody, this is Bryan Daigle with BryanDaigle.com. Also, this is going to be part of my new Unconventional Lives podcast and blog, where I like to interview people that are doing interesting things with their lives, maybe living outside of the box, whether that's starting a business or helping people or traveling or whatever it might be, but have somehow managed to make a life for themselves that is pretty unique and maybe something that could inspire us to do the same. So today I have Kaila Krayewski on the line. I first met Kaila on an island in Thailand, Koh Samui, and through a mutual family friend. And she told me about how she wound up there and this business that she has there, the Content Castle. And I was just fascinated by her story, so I wanted to ask her more questions and share this with you. A little bit of background on Kaila. She studied journalism and international relations for her master's. She went to Asia and started doing content marketing. She held several different positions, also has founded a few travel blogs, and recently started Archipelago Communications. And a year and a half ago, she started the Content Castle. And Archipelago and the Content Castle write content for large brands such as Shangri-La Hotel Group, Calvin Klein, Nine West, AIG. And it's such an interesting story, so happy to be able to share her story with you. First of all, I'd like to thank Kaila for coming on and speaking to me. So first question is, tell us about the Content Castle.
The short version, because there's a very, very long version. But it's an idea that I had in my head for a long time. And I finally came across this dusty, old, decrepit house in Koh Samui, but it was massive. And as soon as I stepped inside, because it was for rent, and I came to view it, and as soon as I stepped inside, I didn't see the dust. I didn't see the weird designs. I didn't see any of that. All I could see was my vision coming to life. And from there it did. And I wrote up a business plan, found an investor, and things progressed really quickly from there. This is about a year and a half ago. Well, yeah, about a year and a half ago that the idea first came to me, and we've been open for a full year now.
And so what do you guys do?
Okay, so the Content Castle is a very unique business model. It's we've built a haven, a creative haven for writers. So every room, every nook, every cranny has been purpose built for writers, for inspiration, to inspire creativity, et cetera, et cetera. And how our model works is people can apply for residencies. We encourage people to stay for around 3 months at the castle, accepted residents, and we do have quite an extensive application process. And what we offer is a private bedroom, as well as two meals a day cooked by our wonderful, amazing housekeeper and chef Cherry, who everybody loves. We have fiber optic Wi-Fi on every floor, so there's no, you're never disconnected. We have all kinds of, as I said, inspirational spaces. We have a library of what we call our Best Books Ever collection. And so anyone who gets accepted to our program gets access to all these facilities. Also, we're right over the road from the beach on Koh Samui, which is pretty cool. In exchange, we ask for our residents to write 7,500 words a week. And so that usually works out to probably on average about 20 hours of work a week. Mm-hmm. So it's a work exchange program, essentially.
Oh, nice.
But there's no cash changes hands.
So basically, writers and creative types can come stay at your place for 1 to 3 months, and you provide everything, housing and food, and all they have to do is write.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's right.
And I think that's right. When we first met, I thought that was such an interesting business model because I hadn't heard of something like that before. I'm curious, where that idea came from. Have you seen other people doing this kind of model?
I am pretty sure that we're the first of our kind in the world. And I don't like to make that claim because I don't know
Yeah,
100%, but everyone I speak to, no one's ever heard of anything like it.
yeah,
And I've never seen anything like it either. And believe me, I was looking for something like this when I was a traveler myself
yeah.
and when I was first getting started. I don't think we'll be the last though. I mean, the whole like co-working space concept is really evolving quickly. So I think this kind of model is evolving in a lot of different capacities.
Yeah, that's so neat. Um, and so I think something else that's really interesting is, I mean, you've been living in Asia and traveling around there, it sounds like for many years. Um, how did you end up where you are now, Koh Samui, Koh Phangan?
Well, funnily enough, I was living in Japan. It was my first time first time leaving North America. Was I went to do a teaching exchange program in Japan. My parents came to visit, and I was like, "Let's get out of here." I wasn't a big fan of Japan, and we came to Thailand, and we actually came straight to Koh Samui and Koh Phangan. And when we were here, I fell in love with the two islands, and I said, I promised myself one day I'm going to live here, and here I am.
That's, I mean, you couldn't ask for more. And
Yeah.
being an expat, what's been your favorite part?
God, there's a lot. I mean, there are tons of upsides and tons of downsides. But let's see, my favorite part, I guess really the freedom to design your own life. Um, I feel like you have that kind of freedom so much more, not just in Thailand. There's a lot of, but the less developed parts of the world, I would say, have so so much opportunity to offer, and of course, they're beautiful places to live in as well.
Yeah.
Opportunities like if I had set up a company like I have in Canada, there would be so much red tape and so much bureaucracy, and I'm sure it would have cost, a gazillion times more. So just the freedom to be able to come up with an idea and implement it and actually watch it evolve. I'm not from a rich family, so I may not have had that, if I lived in Canada.
And taking a step back, how
Mhm.
did you even did you see is this something you saw yourself doing when you were younger? How did you even make this decision to kind of to live the life that you're living?
I know when I'm from a really small kind of hick town in Canada, and I always knew that I didn't want to stay there. I always knew that I wanted to travel. My mom traveled, and so I kind of grew up with it in the back of my head that I was going to travel too. So I always knew I wasn't going to stick around Canada. I don't think I ever knew I wasn't going to live in Canada.
Hmm.
But I think as soon as I left and started living in Japan, and then I lived in England for a while and started traveling, that's when I knew that I would never go back.
Yeah, you saw what was possible and
Yeah,
that, yeah, it wasn't maybe as difficult as some people might
yeah,
think.
yeah, exactly.
And how was it starting? You were talking about some of like the difficulties or difficulties or costs of starting a business in Canada or the US or Europe. What has it been like starting a business in Thailand?
Well, I mean, I say that, but it's not easy here either. I mean, um, we've got a military government who change the rules daily. Thailand has become a lot more difficult to be an expat in, and to the point that a lot of people are picking up and moving to countries that make lives easier on expats.
Hmm.
I'm sticking to my guns, and I'm sticking to Thailand for now.
Hmm.
Both myself and my fiance have businesses here. I would say that when I first started my business, it was super easy to set it up. It was like in USD, maybe $1,500. And that got me a work permit. So like I'm totally legal.
Hmm.
Um, my business is registered. I pay tax. Like I'm not a Thai citizen, but I'm as close as you can be. And that was a pretty simple process. Now they've changed the rules. So anyone coming in now would have a lot more difficulty. And basically to put this to sum this up as much as I can, because it's quite complex, but they've just changed the rules so that if you're an expat and you have a business and you want to hire foreigner or expat employees, they've made that a lot more difficult too. So it's not super easy, but probably I still think things are probably easier than if I tried to do it in the Western world.
That's interesting. And I guess that's something you have to deal with, as an expat living in someone else's country is you have to play by their rules. And sometimes those rules may change depending on the whims of a king or a coup or whatever it might be.
Yeah, and that's right. And we definitely, I mean, when I say we, I don't want to group myself into like all expats, because there's a lot of people that really skirt the Thai laws. But, they don't make them super easy to be 100% above board either. So, I can kind of be understanding, but I am. And if I can be, I don't see why most people couldn't either. I mean, you pay your taxes like anywhere else and declare what you need to declare and, respect them, that's only fair.
And I want to get back to the personal stuff, because I think some people that watch this might be interested in starting businesses. Other people might just be interested in working remotely or for someone else. So I'm curious, from a personal perspective, what's something you wish you knew when you decided to become an expat?
I know there's probably a lot of things. Something I wish I knew. I mean, I guess I always knew that being apart from my friends and family back home would be difficult, but I don't think I really realized how difficult. And it can be really hard when a loved one gets sick, or I'm not really in touch with most of my friends anymore, because when I talk to them, we don't really have much in common anymore. My life is so different now, and it's not to say that it's better than theirs or theirs is better than mine. It's just so different. We can hardly relate to each other. So those are those, but I can't say that I wish I knew that, because I still would have done it, So and that's not really something, maybe I could have made more of an effort to be in touch with them, but I don't think that would have made a difference. So I don't know. That's just something I didn't realize, the extent to which it would affect me. But it's something that wouldn't have changed my decision anyway. So
yeah, maybe just a heads up, but you still would have moved forward with what you're doing. And how do you manage that? How often do you get to go back to Canada or Mexico to see your family, or wherever that?
Yeah. So my mom lives in Mexico, and I was my dad was sick, so I was back last year like 3 times, but that's not normal because it's freaking expensive and like a really long journey. It's like 45 hours of travel. But I try to go back I promised my mom that I would go back at least once a year.
Yeah.
So and I try to combine it with a trip to Canada, but you know how big Canada is, and I have like friends and family, of course, on either side of the country. So it can be tricky, and it turns it into a very, very long trip. And I have a lot of stuff to do here, so it varies really.
Yeah. So if you are traveling back, it sounds like you have to have a really good reason probably. And then also kind of make sure that the scope of your trip back home, isn't too vast.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I'm curious too, because obviously you come from a writing background. I'm wondering, if you have a sense of what your purpose or calling might be.
It started. I've always had this kind of like path in my head that not that I've ever been able to see what the end of it looks like, but every kind of life decision I make, there's just this thing in my head that's like, yes, that's the right thing to do right now. Do that. And so I've seen my path develop, and now I think I'm starting to be able to see where I'm going, which is that I would really like to develop the content castle into something like a proper postgraduate, almost, yeah, like work exchange internship. I don't know what you want to call it, but like almost like a I don't know. It's not a thing yet, so I haven't named it.
Yeah.
But
something accredited or continuing education or something that.
Yeah, continuing education that doesn't cost money, because to me, like, still paying off my freaking university debts. Like, everyone knows university is insanely expensive. So I'd like to offer something, and I believe I've come up with a model where I can teach people to be better writers while also getting them to produce content for me that I can then polish up and sell on to clients, so to make their stay here affordable for me and them not have to pay me anything. So anyone from anywhere could come and do it. And that's my vision. I mean, that's pretty much what we're doing now, but I want to make it like an officially accredited kind of thing, and make it bigger, and make alliances with universities around the world and things like that.
Well, I want to ask a question about this because I think it fits into your life. You recently got engaged. You met your partner down there. So tell us a little bit of background, how you guys met, and where you're at.
Yeah, so I met my fiance about almost 7 years ago. We're coming up to our seventh year anniversary. And that was during Songkran, which is the Thai Water Festival, on Koh Phi Phi, which is an island super famous for having had the movie The Beach shot on it. Anyway, and we fell in love, like, from the beginning. He came to visit me in Bangkok because I was living in Bangkok at the time. Fell in love, and 6 weeks later, he moved over. He was just visiting on vacation from Scotland, and he moved over, and then he moved in with me from day one. We've been living together ever since, which has caused its share of strife, but we've made it work, and we're getting married at the end of September this year.
That's so amazing. That story gives me goosebumps. I mean, that's awesome. You guys meet on a Thai island, and 6 weeks later, he packs up and
it's crazy,
moves
right?
to you. Yeah, and it's not the only story like that I've heard. And kind of thinking about people that might be watching this or listening to this, I'm curious. I think there's a lot of people out there who haven't done what you're doing. And or maybe in a job and wherever in the world that they are, US, Canada, Europe, wherever they are, they're not happy. I'm curious, from your perspective, what you would say to someone like that. I imagine you have friends like that. So what would you say to them, or what do you say to them?
It's a tough one because I don't like to preach.
Yeah.
A lot of people have made their life decisions, and I'm no one who am I to say my life is better than yours? It's not necessarily. We have our own share of problems over here as expats, and a lot of people see my Facebook or Instagram updates and think, oh wow, like, she's living the dream life and she has no problems. Well, that's not true. I mean, I still have to pay my electric bill every month, just like everyone else, and my taxes and, whatever. So, and a lot of the problems that you have in the West, you still have when you move abroad. They don't just all go away. So, but if I were speaking to someone who said to me, I'm not happy with my life and I want to do what you're doing, then that kind of gives me a license to go, okay, well, here's how you can make that happen. Yeah. So if someone were to say that to me, I would very much encourage them to make a change because quite frankly, you only live once. I mean, it's such a cliche thing, but it's so true. Do what is in your heart to do. And if that means selling everything you have and moving abroad nowadays, like it was a lot harder when I did it because there wasn't a lot of information, not a lot of resources, no communities. Nowadays, I mean, my friend Taylor Lane runs a Facebook community called Remote Like Me. And if anyone is looking to become a digital nomad or someone who works abroad, I very much encourage them to join up to that community. She has almost unlimited resources, and there's a gazillion communities just like hers. And people, digital nomads and expats abroad are really good at helping each other out. They give each other advice. I mean, when you're abroad, you're not with your family, and you have to lean on others. So now there's so many resources that it's almost silly not to be a part of them, and not to. You could learn as much as you want to learn just on Facebook. Within a day or two, really, you could be pretty clued up. But what I would suggest is find someone who's doing what you want to do. Um, and that could be anything from, working in IT on a beach in Boracay, or, living at the content castle in Koh Samui, or anywhere in the world. There's so many digital nomad communities around the world. Um, and then try to like get in touch with them, find out how they got started, and you'd be surprised how much information someone will give you if you just express a bit of interest in their life.
Yeah, I mean that's something beautiful I really notice about the expat community, both living overseas as a kid and then traveling, is a sense of camaraderie. Like everyone's
Yeah,
willing to help,
very much.
and it's it seems to be like very giving. They share information like, oh, check out this place. Have you talked to these people? Look at this group, and it seems to be like everyone's kind of helping
Hmm.
each other out and figure out how to
Yeah,
make the life that
totally.
they want. Um,
Yeah, exactly.
so what? And this is my last question. What is an ask that you have for someone that's out there that might be listening or watching this? What's an ask that you have?
Sorry, I'm not sure I understand the question.
What's something you would ask for anyone that might be out there listening to this or watching this, or something you're asking for help with? Um,
Mm,
for example, like when we had met, you were looking for a manager for the Content Castle.
mm.
Is that still the case?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So,
Yes.
so
Yes.
tell me a little bit about what you're looking for.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I am looking for the perfect manager, and I'm a perfectionist, so I have to be upfront about that. That's why I haven't found one yet. I'm looking for someone who wants to build a career with us. I'm envisioning, as you know, well, I already told you what my vision is for the future. So any listeners will know that this is a role that will evolve very quickly. It would involve, we're actually renovating. My fiance is works in, or he used to work in construction, so he's helping me to renovate the warehouse at the back, which we're going to convert into this beautiful loft apartment for our future manager. Um, so they won't be living directly on premises. On premise. They'll have a separate place, but they'll still be on the same property. They will be. It's a full-time job, and it's an intense job, and I don't want to create any false pretenses.
Hmm.
You're not going to be coming to Koh Samui and lying by the pool sipping cocktails. That's not the job. It's intense, and it's a lot of work. But for someone who's driven, and for someone who can see my vision with me, and that's really what I'm looking for, someone who believes in the business model that we're doing. It's an incredible opportunity. So I am just looking for someone with excellent management skills, excellent writing and editing skills, and a great personality
And a
that I
perfectionist.
like. Ideally.
And a
Yeah.
perfectionist, right?
Yeah, ideally. Basically a double of me. If I can just duplicate myself, I'd be happy.
Maybe cloning will come along before you find this person.
Yeah, maybe.
Awesome. Well, yeah, thank you again, Kayla. What you're doing there is so interesting, both for professionally and I think personally. It's so neat to meet people like you that are doing something that they love, and they're doing something outside of traditional norms, something outside of the box. And I just think that's exciting, and that's why I wanted to talk to you a little bit more about it and kind of share, yeah, your story with others. So yeah, thank you again. Yeah, and I look forward to hopefully
Thanks
seeing
so much
you.
for having me on the show, Brian. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, and hopefully I'll see you in Koh Samui in not too long.
Awesome. I hope so. Let me know if you want to come stay at the content.
I would like that. I've been tempted myself to apply, but that's another
Yeah,
story.
you should definitely.
Thank you so much to Kayla for coming on and speaking to me today. If you'd like to find out more about what Kayla's up to in Thailand, you can go to contentcastle.asia or find the Content Castle on Facebook. And I would like to thank you for listening. If you have any suggestions for someone that is leading an unconventional life, please email me, coach@bryandaigle.com. That's coach@BRYANDAIGLE.com. And thank you so much for watching or listening to this.